Hi there. I'm Jamie Sarche. I am the Director of Pre-Planning at Feldman Mortuary in Denver. And if you've ever seen me or heard me speak, you know that my overarching goal in the work that I do is to help people learn to talk about the hard stuff. Usually, that's around death and bereavement. But today I'm going to share some thoughts on how to cope with a different kind of grief, a different kind of loss. It's really living in the uncertainty of the COVID-19 pandemic. For a long time, I've been teaching this class called The Gift of Your Presence. In it, we talk about all the ways that we can help people as they're facing life's challenges. And usually, the people attending are trying to figure out how to help a friend who's lost a spouse or a job or gotten divorced. And usually the attendees are fine. They're doing okay. They're just trying to figure out how to be there for the people who are having a hard time. Right now, though, we're all having a hard time. We're all facing big time challenges. How do we do it? How do we face something that is so difficult and in a time that every single person in the world is dealing with something? I've heard it said that we are all in the same boat. I don't believe that at all. I believe that we're all in the same storm, but we have very different boats. Some of us are in very huge yachts and we're doing fine and we have enough food and we have a gorgeous place to be and we are safe and healthy and well and really not worried about too much. Some of us, though, are in a dinghy. Some of us have no boat at all and are just holding on by a little piece of wood, treading water. That's the truth of this scenario. And we have to acknowledge that, but we also have to give ourselves grace for wherever we are. Because even if we're doing pretty well comparatively, it's still really, really hard. So when I first heard the news of the virus and the idea of quarantine, I was so disbelieving and really pretty angry. The way I found out how big of a deal it was when my son's college sent an email that they were closing and that all of the kids were coming home. And I thought, are you kidding me? Nobody's even been diagnosed with this at their school. Why are they doing this? It didn't make any sense to me at all. I was at my book club meeting and I was talking about it with my friends there, and I quite honestly was pissed. I just thought, this is crazy. Why would we go this far? This feels like such an overreaction. I really was comparing it to when a school would cancel for a snow day before there was any accumulation. And then I started learning a little bit more and learned that term I had never heard before, flattening the curve. And I started to understand a little bit. And it was amazing how I went from that idea that we were overreacting. I got very different. And I actually found myself feeling incredibly threatened and fearful. And I rushed to Costco and bought a lot of food and just thought that's going to give me some comfort to know that I have a lot of food in the house. And it actually really did help me to know that that was there. And that feeling of comfort lasted a short while. And I, since then, have been vacillating in a lot of feelings. Often those feelings are fear. I have found that going to the grocery store can be very fear-inducing. It got very scary for me when people had to start wearing masks. It really touched me in a very strange place, that idea of not being able to connect with people in a human way, not being able to smile at them has felt really scary for me and really awful for me and really outside of the person that I am. And that's been just really challenging. And I recognize the incredible importance of wearing the mask. So I'm trying to do different things. Now I really wave at people and I say good morning really loudly when I'm at the grocery store or on a walk or whatever. And I really do the very best that I can to help them to see my humanity and to make sure that they know I see theirs. I think that that has been really helpful to me. I also vacillate from feeling shocked, from feeling isolated, from feeling lonely, from feeling really like I'm doing something wrong, or feeling really judgy of other people for how they're handling it. And I try really hard to give myself the grace of saying, this is new. This is the first time I've ever experienced this. And that's true for all of us. None of us have ever been in this before. So I am really trying to understand that and trying to be gentle with myself for that and gentle with everyone else for that. I was talking with a friend recently and she was sharing what's happening with her, which is that she's so focused on cleaning the groceries as they come in the house or making sure everybody washes their hands. And she's so focused on that kind of safety that she's forgetting to lock the front door. We have to be gentle with ourselves in those times because we can only navigate so much. We can only handle so much. So we really have to be especially kind. And we have to recognize and normalize what we're feeling. We have to name it. Every feeling that we're having, we have to name it. And that is the key to feeling it and to healing it. If we push it away, it gets a lot more powerful. So naming whatever it is, naming fear, naming anxiety, naming vulnerability, naming resentment, naming frustration, naming loneliness, all of those things. We don't really come from a society that is great at emotional intelligence. In fact, I heard recently in a podcast with a guy who writes about feelings that most of us can only name 3 or 4 feelings. Mad, sad, glad. Those are really the only feelings we have names for. And right now we've really got to up our emotional game because we are facing some hard stuff. We got to practice self-care. We got to make sure that we're eating enough and eating healthfully, which is really hard. So many of us eat for comfort, and I'm finding that myself, like I'm eating a lot of stuff that I wouldn't normally eat, but it helps. In some level it helps, but it also can hurt. So we need to be eating healthfully. We need to be drinking enough water. It's really important if we can to get outside every day, get some natural light, feel connected to the earth. That helps a lot. We have to exercise. That means going for a walk around the block if that's all you can do, going for a big long walk if that's what you could do. We're lucky enough to have a basement that we have kind of made a gym. We have some resistance bands and we have some light weights and we have a rower. And I try and get on that every single day. And it makes such a difference. I don't know what any of us would be doing if we didn't have that. So that's been really important. It's also important not to rank suffering. You know, as I said earlier, we're all in the same storm, but we're not in the same boat. And so it's really easy to be judgy of ourselves and to say, hey, here I am, I'm in a house, I have enough food, my family's with me. Right now, we are all safe. So how dare I feel anything? Because I'm really fine. I don't have it nearly as bad as the people who are on the front lines at working at the grocery store, or people who have lost a job, or people who have a loved one in the hospital, or God forbid that being the person who is in the hospital. So it's easy to feel so judgy of ourselves and just think, how dare I have any feelings about this because I'm fine. But you know what? Doing that to myself doesn't help those people. When I can have empathy for myself and own my feelings, then I can have more empathy for the people who are really suffering. And I can take the time to think about what I can be doing to help those people. Some of the things I'm doing right now to help people who are really suffering more than I'm donating money, and that feels really good to me. And of course, I'm able to do that. And so I'm really lucky to be able to do that. And I feel so much gratitude for that. I'm doing a little bit of volunteering. Again, I'm healthy and well, and so I'm able to go and volunteer. I'm working in a food bank nearby just a little bit because, quite honestly, I'm pretty scared about it. But I'm trying to overcome that fear because the feeling I get from making a difference is really important. And I also don't want to leave it to the other people to do that on their own. I feel like I need to own a small piece of it too to help. I think it is really important to recognize that if you feel guilty for being okay, you got to let go of that. Guilt is for when you're doing something wrong. So being okay is not doing something wrong. So try your best to let go of the guilt. Be authentic, be vulnerable. That's the way to true courage. Allowing yourself to feel your feelings, to share them with people you trust. That's the way to true courage. Talk through your expectations with your family, with your friends. Share what you need. Share what kind of connection is going to help you. Ask them for what kind of connection is going to help them. Because when we have unmet expectations, that's the key to resentment. And resentment leads to breakdown in connection. Try to create some rituals and create some sacred time. Though my family is not religious, we have started doing Shabbat every week. So I really realized that when every day feels the same, it was important to create a differentiator between the week and the weekend. So we started lighting Shabbat candles and having challah every week. And it's just 5 minutes. And it's so lovely. And having that ritual every week is really helpful. I've even started baking challah, and I'm so grateful because somebody led me to a no-knead challah recipe by Jamie Geller. I highly recommend it. That's been really beautiful and special for me. I've also started doing jigsaw puzzles, which is new for me. And what I find is it is a great time of really not thinking. It's really a meditative time, and it feels really good. So find some things for yourself that work that way. So finally, what I want to leave you with is the idea of normalizing your feelings. What we're going through right now is not normal for any of us, And so saying that whatever we feel is okay, that is a big key to getting through it. So acknowledge whatever your feelings are and accept them, and talk through them with the people that you trust and just own them. It's really important. Also, put this in perspective. Please God, it's not going to last forever. And knowing that is really important. Although I would avoid kind of saying, well, it's going to be over by a certain time frame, because the truth is we don't know. And if we can just live in knowing it's not going to last forever and we will get through it, that's going to be really helpful. And then last but not least, reality check your expectations of yourself, your expectations of your loved ones. You don't have to keep an exceedingly clean house. You don't have to be doing all kinds of new stuff. You don't have to be decluttering. You don't have to be keeping up with the Joneses. You just have to do what's best for you and the people that you love, and give yourself that grace. So thanks for spending a little bit of time with me today, and I am looking forward to talking with you more. Be well, be healthy, be safe.